Rejection hurts more when you know you were chosen. Some of the deepest pain in life does not come from failure. It comes from being rejected while doing the right thing, from being ignored while carrying a message God placed in your heart, from being pushed aside not because you were wrong, but because you were different. There is a kind of rejection that only chosen people experience, a rejection that confuses you, a rejection that isolates you, a rejection that makes you wonder if you heard God correctly. And if you have ever walked through that season, this message is for you. Jesus said in John 15:18, "If the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you." That means rejection is not new, it is not strange, and it is not proof that you missed God. Jesus was perfect, yet he was rejected. Not because he lacked love, not because he lacked truth, but because truth makes people uncomfortable. Being chosen by God does not mean you will be accepted by people. Sometimes it means the opposite. Joseph was chosen. God showed him dreams of greatness and purpose. But the first response to his calling was not applause. It was hatred. Genesis 37 tells us his brothers hated him because of his dreams. Not because he hurt them, not because he betrayed them, but because his vision exposed their insecurity. They rejected him before he ever became what God promised. Some people will reject you not because you are wrong, but because what God placed inside you reminds them of what they ignored in themselves. David was chosen as king, anointed by God, yet rejected, hunted, and misunderstood for years. In Psalm 55:12-14, David says, "It is not an enemy who reproaches me, but it is you, my companion, my familiar friend." Rejection hurts the most when it comes from people you trusted, from people you expected support from people who knew your heart. But God never promised acceptance, he promised purpose. Jesus himself was rejected by the very people he came to save. Isaiah 53:3 says, "He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief." The Son of God stood before them with truth, healing, and salvation, and they chose to reject him. They shouted, "Crucify him." Not because he was guilty, but because light exposes darkness, and not everyone wants to be exposed. If you are carrying a message from God, do not be surprised when resistance shows up. Rejection is often confirmation that you are walking in obedience. Jeremiah was chosen before he was born. God told him in Jeremiah 1:5, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations." Yet Jeremiah was mocked, ignored, imprisoned, and rejected. At one point, rejection became so heavy that he said in Jeremiah 29, "I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name." Rejection almost silenced him. And that is the real danger, not rejection itself, but what rejection tries to do inside you. It tries to make you doubt your calling. It tries to make you water down your message. It tries to make you quit. But if God chose you, he already accounted for the rejection. You were never meant to be accepted by everyone. You were meant to be faithful. Galatians 1:10 says, "If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." Some of the rejection you experienced came because you refused to compromise. You refused to stay silent. You refused to blend in. And yes, it hurt. But what if the rejection was protection? What if God allowed people to walk away because they could not go where he was taking you? Joseph's rejection pushed him toward his destiny. Jesus' rejection opened the door to salvation. What people reject today, God often uses tomorrow. Rejection does not cancel calling, it refines it. Romans 8:30 says, "Whom he predestined, these he also called. Whom he called, these he also justified. And whom he justified, these he also glorified." Notice something powerful. Rejection is not mentioned anywhere in God's process. Because rejection by people does not override selection by God. You may be rejected, but you are still chosen. Ignored, but still anointed. Misunderstood, but still appointed. God often hides his chosen ones in seasons of rejection to prepare them for responsibility they are not yet ready for. If you are in that season right now, where your voice feels unheard, your obedience feels unnoticed, and your heart feels tired, you are not forgotten. God is working in you, not just through you. Jesus said in Matthew 5:11, Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you, and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Blessed, not cursed. So here is the question that decides everything. Will you still carry the message even if people reject you for it? Will you stay obedient when support disappears? Will you trust God when the crowd walks away? History is full of rejected people, but eternity remembers the obedient ones. If this message spoke to you, if you have ever been rejected for doing the right thing, if you know God chose you even when people didn't, comment below and write, "I am chosen, even if I am rejected." And tell us in the comments, what rejection are you walking through right now? Your story might be the confirmation someone else needs today.